So, going to list off a basic plot line. Guy is really rich and has to warm up to a younger girl that he's picked up off the street, and there's internal conflicts and external conflicts, and definitely a big difference in class. Now, that was very vague, so that probably didn't... Yeah, it was very vague, so you probably have no idea what that is. But now if I say musical, you probably automatically think of Annie, right? You know, it's a common American musical. If this makes no sense to you so far, then it's probably isn't a video for you. But anyway, so Annie. Film Annie. In the film Annie, we have we have Annie, who's a young child living in an orphanage, and is in the middle of poverty, in the middle of the Great Depression in the 1930s, 1933 to be exact. And she grows up constantly wondering where her parents are, and always assuming that they are out there. And then Daddy Warbucks comes in, and he's not Daddy Warbucks in this case, he's just Mr. Oliver Warbucks. He adopts Annie, they develop a wonderful relationship, and they live happily ever after. And a similar story, hey, there was a huge probably change in lighting, change in time, change in everything. I had to go eat and things. Food, yeah. Alright, so Annie and My Fair Lady have very similar plot lines. In the movie My Fair Lady, you have a rich guy who meets a younger girl who is very sassy and very similar to Annie, and, they kind of fall in love throughout the movie, as well as Annie and Warbucks. It's a slightly different relationship, though, because Higgins and Eliza are very close in age. And this theory that I've come up with, I actually have a paper for it. It's not very long, but this is just some facts I've gathered and some things that show how these two movies are connected. That's right, they're connected. So, in the movie of Annie, Warbucks talks of his childhood. He was born in the 1890s with his mother and siblings in Liverpool, England, which is England is where the movie My Fair Lady takes place. And the movie My Fair Lady just happens to take place in the Edwardian era, which can sometimes include the 1890s. And then he goes on to say in that little bit that his mother died, and that he was born into poverty. His mother died of an illness, and he was forced to move to the United States and build his fortune. So, his mother died around the age 30, around the 30s range, and in the movie My Fair Lady, Eliza was in the 20s range, which gives a reasonable amount of time for her to have children. Especially if Warbucks was the oldest. And so then Warbucks, now of course the last names don't make sense, but I'm getting to that. Let me explain this. I'm not very good at talking, so this doesn't sound very professional. Anyway, so let's say that Higgins and Eliza did get married. I'm just going to go from that point. Higgins and Eliza, Eliza comes in, Higgins asks, "Where are my slippers?" The movie ends. And then shortly after that, Higgins proposes to her because he just can't live without her. He's grown accustomed to her face and everything. If you haven't seen My Fair Lady or Annie, by the way, I would suggest leaving this video and finding some way to watch those, because otherwise this theory would make no sense. And you have to watch the, I think it's the 1989 Annie and the 1960-something My Fair Lady. All I know is that Annie's played by... I actually don't know who Annie's played by, but anyway, 1989 Annie, and then the one with Audrey Hepburn for My Fair Lady. So, anyway, if we say that Higgins and Eliza got married, perhaps to shake things up a little, they move from their mansion to Liverpool, England. It's same continent, same area, and have several children. Higgins, now much older after as time goes on, and Eliza's having all of these children, most likely would have died, especially from all of the all of the, he did a lot of drinking and possibly some smoking as well, and it's not really good for your health. I mean, he is rich, but whatever. So it makes sense. It's plausible that Higgins would die. Possibly from a stroke, possibly from, getting hit by a car. I mean, it doesn't really matter how he died. All that makes sense is that he does die. And now Eliza's in her 30s, and she has Warbucks and several other siblings, because Warbucks does mention his siblings in his little spiel to Annie about his childhood. And then Eliza, over time, after probably a lot of the pain from Higgins' death, as well as an illness that's overcoming her, that causes her to die, leaving all of the children, and without any fortune at all. Possibly after Higgins' death, they would have lost their fortune. So then, and definitely after Eliza's death, they wouldn't be able to keep it because they were all kids, with Warbucks being a teenager, approximately. I could be getting this wrong. I couldn't really find anywhere where I could actually read word for word his spiel. All I know is just different things that I've been able to piece together and look up. So, Warbucks, a teenager, takes him and his siblings on a boat to the Americas. Now they come into the Americas. Let's see. If he was born in 1890s and he is a teenager, then it's the early 1900s. And around this time, well, it's around this same kind of period of time, it's the early 1900s. It's kind of starting to get ready for some war. There's talk of war, and the World War I, is building up. And with all of that going on around them, it would make sense for a scared family without any parents to change their name so as to conceal their identity. And what better name than Warbucks, which sounds surprisingly simple. I mean, literally, what are the two biggest components in war? The war itself and money. Well, I mean, money's probably more important than the war itself, but Bucks War wouldn't be a cool name. Anyway. So far things are kind of making sense. If you're actually following along and this makes sense to you, then give this a like. If this doesn't make sense to you, explain it in the comments, and I'll explain why it doesn't make sense to you, and I'll try to explain it to you. And if it doesn't make sense from there, you can give it a dislike. But I wouldn't recommend giving this video a dislike, just because I'm barely getting started on theories. It's the very first theory. So, that's basically the end of the evidence, is that Oliver Warbucks would have then, with his siblings, would have grown up and built up his fortune. And then, just like his father, would have fallen in love with a brown-haired girl, and would have also learned to love a sassy younger girl. So, and also, according to most things that I've looked up, both Higgins and Warbucks are in their 40s when the events of their shows take place. And so, basically, that all adds up. Now, here's the main key facts that I was able to find. In the film of Annie, Warbucks is born in Liverpool, England in the 1890s. That was an exact fact I found. The era in which the movie My Fair Lady takes place in is the Edwardian era, or near the 1890s. Warbucks' mother died in her 30s, which does add up since Eliza was in her 20s in the movie My Fair Lady, and I believe there is a part in the script of My Fair Lady in which it even says, while they're trying to track down Eliza, they ask for the age and they say in her 20s, early 20s. And so that's basically all the evidence I have backing this theory. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, comment, thumbs up, whatever you want to put. Subscribe for sure. If this theory is cool to some people, I'll definitely put some more. It's not something normal people would make a theory about. Most people are going to do something about Star Wars or Disney or video games or recent movies, because that's the majority of the theories that you see. But I thought to do a little twist, I would try, because, the reason that all this kind of came together is that I am in a play rendition of Annie, and I am playing Daddy Warbucks, Oliver Warbucks. And my father is in a production of My Fair Lady, and he's playing Professor Higgins. So if this theory holds true, and there's nothing debunking it, then it also means that we're paralleling our counterparts. Now, of course, good thought somebody brought up before I recorded this, was that some people are just going to say, what if they're completely unrelated and they just have completely separate families? And that is so very likely, especially with the difference in last names. It could very well be that I'm just grasping at straws and they have no family relation at all, and they just by pure happenstance happen to have similar life stories and happen to fall in similar timelines in similar areas, and everything seems to add up. But if you want to prove me wrong, if you want to debunk this, then go ahead, do the research, and hopefully you'll find something good. But that's all I have to say for this theory. I am JJ Prince, and I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a guitarist, and definitely check out my other videos. Buttons will appear at some point in the video, and they may block my face, they may appear in other places. All I know is it has to be the last 20 seconds, but I'm tired of saying, okay, countdown last 20 seconds, quickly show where all the buttons are going to be. So, buttons will appear towards the end of the video. And anyway, thank you so much for all of the support that I have received and everything, and how great this channel has been going. I've reached 32 subscribers, which is a pretty nice deal considering that I just started on October 28th, and it's near November 28th, so it's been under a month. So I thank you all once again, and this is mostly just about me rambling and hasn't really been that much about the theory, but thank you for watching, and see you later. Bye.